Hello! In this video, we're going to see how to use anynines to horizontally scale up a PostgreSQL instance, that is, to increase its number of replicas. One reason to do that is to improve the availability of the instance so that even if some of the replicas fails, it can still serve read and write requests. Another one might be to spread the read load more evenly across the replicas. So here on my laptop, I have a local Kubernetes cluster provisioned with kind and anynines already installed in it. And I also already have a PostgreSQL instance running in it. Let's take a look at it. kubectl get pg, its name is sample pg cluster, whereas pg is the short form for PostgreSQL, its kind. So yep, it's there. And if we examine its YAML more in depth, like I'm going to do now, kubectl get pg sample pg cluster output YAML. Oops, sorry, there's a typo. Output YAML. And if we look at the spec, we can see that among a lot of parameters, there's one that says replicas 1. And if we look at the status, we see that we have one ready replica. So we're asking for one replica, and one replica is running. And we can verify this also by looking directly at the pods, kubectl get pod. And as we can see, there's just one pod that it's the only replica for our PostgreSQL instance. However, imagine that now we realize that this is bad for availability, meaning that if this replica fails, the PostgreSQL instance cannot be used until the replica is replaced. And to address that, we want to scale it up by adding 2 more replicas. So by scaling up the instance to 3. How can we do that? Well, here in my editor, I have the YAML manifest that I initially applied to the cluster to provision this PostgreSQL instance. And in fact, as you can see, it says replica is equal to 1. If we want to scale it up to 3 replicas, all we have to do is go back to this manifest, modify the replicas field from 1 to 3, and then apply it again. So let's do this. kubectl apply file name PostgreSQL instance. Okay, the manifest was applied. Now, if we kubectl get pod again with a watch, we should see that one extra pod representing one extra replica is being added, and now even another one is being initialized. And voila, we should now have 3 replicas for our PostgreSQL instance. And we can verify this also by looking at the status of the PostgreSQL instance itself. So if we do kubectl get pg or PostgreSQL sample pg cluster, the name of our instance, output, oops, sorry, there's a typo, output YAML, and we look at the status, we should see that it now says ready replicas, so we've succeeded in scaling up our instance. One question we haven't answered yet is, okay, we have 3 replicas for this PostgreSQL instance, but what's the relationship between them? And the answer is that they constitute what's called an asynchronous streaming replication cluster. What this means is that one of the replicas will be the primary or leader, and it's the only replica that can serve write request. And once a write request is applied to the primary then propagates that write with a delay and asynchronously to the other replicas. So you could say that the primary is the freshest replica, and the 2 other replicas, also called secondaries, are copies of the primary with a bit of delay. If you want to learn more about the implication that this has on the availability of our PostgreSQL instance, or other things such as what happens if the primary fails, watch the next video in this series where we will discuss all of these things in detail.